In the summer of 2025, President Donald Trump launched a sweeping trade war, one that would send shockwaves through the global economy and redefine America's relationship with the world. His administration targeted the rising BRICS bloc, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, imposing a blanket 10% tariff on all member nations, regardless of the goods they exported. The move was a clear message to the world: align with BRICS, and you'll pay the price. The US was drawing a line in the sand, warning countries against shifting their loyalties. India and Brazil, two of the fastest-growing economies in the bloc, faced even harsher penalties: 50% tariffs, specifically designed to cripple their export industries, disrupt their growth, and force them to reconsider their alliances with BRICS. South Africa was hit with a 30% tariff, as the US painted the entire BRICS project as a direct threat to American interests and global leadership. But the Trump administration didn't stop with adversaries. Even traditional allies like Canada, Japan, and South Korea were suddenly in the crosshairs, facing new tariffs and uncertainty. This signaled a dramatic and unprecedented shift in US foreign policy, one that left many allies feeling betrayed and isolated. Tariffs became a powerful tool for enforcing American demands, especially in the critical sectors of energy and geopolitics, where the stakes were highest. India, for example, was penalized even further for buying Russian oil, forced to choose between its own energy security and maintaining its allegiance to the United States. The threat escalated. Any BRICS nation moving away from the US dollar in trade faced the possibility of a crippling 100% tariff, a move that could devastate entire economies overnight. This aggressive strategy risked dismantling decades-old alliances, upending the global economic order, and creating new fault lines in international relations. The world was put on notice. America was now willing to use economic warfare, not just diplomacy or military might, to defend its dominance and reshape the rules of global engagement. Ironically, Trump's tariffs unified the BRICS bloc instead of fracturing it. The shared threat from Washington accelerated cooperation, transforming BRICS from a loose forum into a determined geopolitical alliance. New members like Indonesia, Egypt, Ethiopia, and the UAE joined, seeking an alternative to an unpredictable West. Vietnam became a partner, expanding the bloc's reach. At the 2025 Rio Summit, the BRICS nations issued the Rio Declaration, committing to enhanced cooperation in finance, trade, and technology. Their agenda: build alternatives to Western-dominated institutions and reduce dependence on the dollar. The tariffs meant to protect US dominance instead fueled the rise of a parallel global system. India, hit with punitive tariffs and energy penalties by the United States, made a bold pivot away from its traditional Western partners. Instead of bowing to pressure, India began mending ties with China and deepening its partnership with Russia, signaling a major shift in its foreign policy. This realignment was not just about economics, but about asserting its independence on the world stage and safeguarding its national interests. Landmark talks between Indian and Chinese officials led to the resumption of commercial flights, the reopening of vital trade routes, and the establishment of new border management mechanisms. These steps marked a significant thaw in relations after years of tension, and opened the door for greater regional cooperation. Prime Minister Modi's planned visit to China was seen as a dramatic diplomatic breakthrough, signaling to the world that India was ready to chart its own course, even if it meant defying Washington's expectations. Meanwhile, India's trade with Russia soared to unprecedented levels, with Russian oil now making up 40% of India's total imports. This surge not only helped stabilize India's energy market, but also provided a crucial economic lifeline for Russia. For India, the priorities of energy security and strategic autonomy far outweighed US demands. The government made it clear that it would not compromise its sovereignty or economic stability for the sake of foreign pressure. In Brazil, President Lula da Silva also refused to yield to US pressure. Instead, he became a vocal champion of BRICS resistance, rallying support for the cause of de-dollarization and economic independence from the West. Lula traveled across continents, meeting with global leaders to promote new trade currencies and alternative payment systems, all designed to bypass American financial control and empower emerging economies. His administration worked in close coordination with other BRICS members, turning US attempts at isolation into a powerful catalyst for deeper cooperation and mutual support among the bloc's nations. Both India and Brazil made it unmistakably clear: Washington's pressure only pushed them closer to their BRICS allies, strengthening their resolve to stand together. In the end, the US strategy backfired, inadvertently strengthening the very bloc it sought to weaken and accelerating a new era of global realignment. While the US built tariff walls, BRICS nations built bridges, literally and figuratively. Ambitious infrastructure projects like Brazil's embrace of China's Belt and Road and the Interoceanic Railway are reshaping global trade routes. The railway will connect Brazil's Atlantic coast to Peru's Pacific, bypassing the Panama Canal and the US, and speeding South American exports to Asia. Intra-BRICS trade is booming. China-Russia trade hit record highs, and Brazil now supplies over 70% of China's soybeans. Much of this trade is conducted outside the US dollar using local currencies and swaps. Chinese companies like BYD are investing in BRICS partners, building factories and creating jobs. This investment-led growth stands in stark contrast to America's punitive tariffs. BRICS is forging a new industrial and economic ecosystem across the global south. The world now faces a stark choice between two models. The US relies on sanctions and tariffs to enforce its will, treating other nations as subordinates. BRICS, led by China, offers investment and cooperation without political strings, building roads, ports, and digital networks. This approach is especially attractive to developing nations long marginalized by the Western financial system. While Washington threatens, Beijing builds. BRICS is creating mechanisms to trade in local currencies, insulating members from US financial pressure. The American model of coercion is looking outdated, while BRICS's cooperative approach is gaining ground. Concerns about debt and Chinese influence remain, but the appeal of growth without conditions is undeniable. The US, by relying on punishment, is ceding influence to a bloc that offers partnership and opportunity. America's punitive policies have accelerated the rise of a multipolar world. The era of US dominance is over. Now, multiple centers of power compete for influence. The expanded BRICS bloc, representing the global south, seeks not to overthrow the system, but to democratize it. Washington's resistance to reform is isolating it, as former allies hedge their bets and deepen ties with Beijing, Moscow, and New Delhi. The US demand for absolute loyalty is backfiring in a world of new options. China's investment-driven diplomacy and Russia's energy partnerships offer compelling alternatives. America can no longer dictate terms, it must compete for influence. While Washington punishes, BRICS builds new supply chains and financial systems. The world is being rewired, and the US risks being left on the sidelines. The United States stands at a pivotal crossroads, facing a rapidly changing world it once shaped but now finds increasingly difficult to navigate. The familiar rules are shifting, and the old playbook no longer guarantees success. Unilateralism and economic coercion have backfired, pushing nations together and solidifying alliances like BRICS, which are accelerating American isolation on the global stage. India, once a key partner, is now moving closer to China and Russia. The dominance of the dollar is being openly challenged as new financial alliances emerge. While America punishes with sanctions and threats, its rivals are busy building a parallel global system, one based on investment, infrastructure, and mutual benefit, not intimidation. To avoid slipping into irrelevance, the US must trade coercion for genuine cooperation and offer a compelling value proposition to the world that others want to join. This means investing in global development, leading on shared challenges like climate change and health, and treating rising powers as partners rather than adversaries. America must shift from a mindset of dominance to one of leadership through collaboration, building trust and shared purpose. The choice is clear: adapt and lead in a multipolar world, or cling to isolation and watch as others define the future without us. Humility, open-mindedness, and strategic foresight are now essential to engage with the world as it truly is, not as it once was. The time to choose is now. The future will not wait.